A lot has changed in the mountain bike world in the last few years, and if you've ever thought about getting into the sport or maybe getting back into it, this might actually be the best time in years to do it. Bikes are cheaper than they've been in a long time. Trail access has never been better, and for the first time in forever, this insanely fun and rewarding sport feels a little bit more accessible. So in this video, I want to break down why 2025 is such a good time to start mountain biking and how you can take your first steps without going broke or getting too overwhelmed. I've been riding for about 20 years. I raced cross country and enduro for about 8 of those with a few seasons as a pro, and I love the sport. It's one of the only ways I can consistently find myself wanting to get outside and exercise. Even on the days where I'm tired, frustrated, burned out, a ride just sort of resets everything. And mountain biking has evolved a ton, even since I started this YouTube channel back in 2011. Bikes are so much more capable now. Geometry, way better. Suspension, better. You can get away with a lot more on a modern bike. You can ride faster, farther, and more comfortably than ever before. And what's really exciting is honestly what's been happening outside of the bikes. There's trail centers popping up everywhere. Cities are investing in public pump tracks and bike parks and community free riding zones, and the sport has grown to a point where there are so many different ways to enjoy it, whether it's a flow trail, a big mountain thing, a bike park, dirt jumps, just cruising on mellow single track after work, whatever it is. However, one thing that hasn't changed much over the years has always been a point of frustration, and that is the cost of this sport. Mountain biking is expensive, and a lot of what gets marketed to you at the top end feels totally out of reach. Bikes pushing 8 or 10 grand? That's ridiculous. Components that cost as much as a crummy used car? It's been a major barrier for new riders, but that is starting to change. In fact, it's already changed in a big way. If you haven't been following the industry drama the last few years, here's the short version. During the pandemic, everyone got into outdoor hobbies. You couldn't go to concerts or bars or do much inside, so people started riding bikes, like a lot of people. And shops and brands saw the boom and basically panic ordered a ton of inventory. Bike availability was non-existent. We're talking 6 or 9 month waits for certain models, huge back orders, and prices started skyrocketing. Brands raised prices because demand was through the roof, and honestly, in my opinion, I feel like some of them leaned into the greed a little bit too much. They thought the surge was the new normal, but of course it wasn't. As soon as the world opened back up, people went back to work, kids went back to school, and most of those pandemic bikes, well, people already bought it. The people who were going to ride it already had their opportunity. They already bought their bike, and just like that, demand cratered, but the supply was sky high. And here we are in 2025, and the bike industry is in a pretty tough spot. A lot of brands and retailers are sitting on way too much inventory, and they're trying to move product. So we're seeing prices drop like crazy. Top tier bikes that used to sell for 5 grand are being listed for 2,500 or 3,000, and they're still not selling fast enough. And yeah, it sucks to see iconic brands struggling, or like GT getting shut down. That really stinks. But if you're a new rider or someone who's been on the sidelines for years, this is a huge window of opportunity. There are more deals right now than I have ever seen. You can get a genuinely solid full suspension trail bike with great geometry, real suspension, and components that will hold up for a fraction of what people were paying for them just 2 years ago. It's the first time in a long time that entry level doesn't feel really like a scam. The other big reason 2025 is such a good start is the access. In the last 10 years, especially the last 5, we've seen cities and towns really investing in riding infrastructure. Even in flatter areas, you've got dirt jump parks, public pump tracks, skill zones, city-funded trail loops. A good way to figure out what's near you? Check if you've got a local bike shop. Give them a call. Most shops are stoked to help new riders and can point you toward beginner-friendly trails, group rides, or even some local events. Also, the app Trail Forks is a great resource. It shows local trails, route difficulty, elevation, user ratings, and it's one of the best ways to plan your first ride or trip. And look, even if you don't live in a mountain town, there's still a lot of fun to be had. You don't need a ton of elevation to enjoy this sport. Pump tracks are great. Dirt jumping is its own unique thing. Street and trials riding is creative and fun. Then there's just the simple joy of getting on your bike and riding. I've never been good at going to the gym consistently. I've tried running, I've tried a lot of different things, but the most fun I've ever had really in the summer is mountain biking. It's cardio, it's full body, and the feeling that you get when you're just flowing down a trail. It does kind of feel like you're flying. There's nothing quite like the feeling of linking corners or going up and over stuff. It's a ton of fun, and for me, it's never really gotten old. And bikes bring us back to this concept of freedom. For a lot of us, riding a bike was one of our first real tastes of independence, like as a kid. You could go where you wanted, exploring a new street, staying out until the sun went down. And that spirit still lives on when you ride today. You can just hop on your bike, disappear into the woods for a bit, and come back feeling like a new person. There's also the adventure side of things. Once you get into it, you can start planning trips, checking what trail systems are near family or vacations or even work trips. I snuck a ride in at Big Bear a few years ago at a business trip, and I try to make a road trip to Moab whenever I can. The sport gives you a reason to explore, and the community is only getting better. YouTube has exploded in the last 10 years for mountain biking. There's so many creators out there making fun, helpful, and really great content, stuff that would have been life-changing back during the years when I was racing. Some of the maintenance tips, the skills videos, the tutorials, there's more resources than ever before to get stoked, to learn, and to just enjoy it, So if you've been thinking about mountain biking for a while, I think this is the year. You don't need some $6,000 bike. You don't have to be crazy fit. You don't need to be worried about sending 20 or 30 foot gaps. Honestly, it's just about getting on a bike and trying it. And if you want some real next steps, I'll make a full video on my mountain bike channel, BBKMTB, talking about it. But frankly, I think renting is a great place to begin. Find out if you have a local shop. Do they offer rentals? And if so, ask them. Will they take the price of a rental off of a purchase if you buy a bike through them? I think if you've got a good local bike shop, one that charges fair prices and has a good mechanic or a good set of maintenance, folks, it's nice to support your local shop. But another big disruption that happened in the last decade is the direct-to-consumer brands, which have bypassed the shops, and you can buy a bike online, a brand like YT or Canyon. There's a few others, and they offer some of the best value I've ever seen. Kit that just is phenomenal, super sick components at a price point $1,000 or $2,000 lower than what the traditional brands were offering. Now we're in this weird period where maybe your local bike shop has a bike that sat on the show floor for 3 or 4 years and they just want to get rid of it. So there might be a crazy good discount there. It really gets tricky, and there's a lot of research, and there's a lot more when you're thinking about buying a bike. That's why I think renting is a really good place to start, or a demo day is great. And then you need to factor in and think about, well, what kind of terrain do you have nearby? What kind of riding do you want to do? Everything that you've seen in the video here is just basically trail riding. So you could do most of this on cross country or a full suspension trail bike. But maybe you live in a place that has an amazing bike park, and the majority of the riding that you want to do is lift access or shuttle access. So you're leaning towards a big bike like an enduro, an all mountain, or a DH bike. Again, maybe there's no elevation where you live and you're just looking to ride pump track and get into dirt jumping. And that's a specific bike. So just begin doing some research. I think that's the first step. Find out what's nearby. Do you have a local bike shop? What opportunities there are for rentals? And that's the place that I would begin. If you're ready, you're getting a bike and you're going to do this, then you can start the research process for purchasing. And again, I'll share more thoughts about that in another video. But one of the coolest times ever to get involved in the sport. I wish, the bike that I bought in 2023, the Trek, is now half the price today that it was 2 years ago. And so if this is when you're entering into the sport, this is a phenomenal time to just be looking at it. And I'm hoping it's a new era of value for the consumer, because there's this pretty strong movement online of people really kind of talking to the industry saying we want more bikes that are fun, that are affordable, that bring more people into this sport. And I'm all for it. I absolutely love that. If you enjoy the video, please let me know with a like. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. Thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you again very soon.